Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Name on Player podcast. My name is Nicole. I am your host. And before we get into the episode, I just want to say a huge thank you to every single person for hitting play today. If you like the Name on Player podcast, make sure that you are subscribed to the show, you've liked the show, rated the show, whatever platform you're listening on, whatever way you can engage. I'd love it if you could. It would really mean so much to me, and I appreciate it if you've already done that. Today, we have part 2 of Maddie joining us. If you haven't already listened, part 1 was released a few days ago, and we talk about the fact that the Packers destroyed the Minnesota Vikings. And it was a great conversation. It healed something in me. It was very nice for me to get my thoughts across. It was very nice to listen to Maddie's thoughts and just have a calm, rational back and forth about our two favorite teams and discuss the other teams that we mutually dislike. It was a great conversation, and I highly recommend that you go back and listen. If you are a Bears fan, maybe tuning in, I don't know, maybe you might not want to listen. No, I'm just kidding. All love to every single team in the whole entire world. It's never that serious. It's never that deep. Today's episode, however, Maddie is back on, and we are chatting all about her social media presence. Maddie started posting on TikTok under the account Snap Judgements, and now she has made a merger, a very important merger with Hottie Huddle, and the byproduct of this merger has been iconic. Really, nothing short of amazing, and I've been loving watching and following along. Maddie is going to get all into what Hottie Huddle really is. It's a great conversation. I'm very confident that you're going to love it. So I think let's just hop into it, shall we? You've heard enough from me, I think. Without further ado, please welcome back Maddie. All right, everybody, we have Maddie here with us. You're back again, Maddie. Thank you so much. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
If you haven't already listened to Maddie's episode that was out earlier in the week, we recapped week 12, Vikings Packers. It was a tough one for me. But today we are going to be talking a little bit more about Maddie, just her history of being a Packer and a football fan. Also, this is how I know you, is you were posting on TikTok, on
Yeah.
social media, your thoughts about football, your snap judgments. So I would love to hear more about that. But then also, super fun, you and Jenna, you guys have officially launched Hottie Huddle together. And I guess by the time this is out, you guys will have your second episode of the
We will.
podcast out too. So I recently listened to the first episode. It sounded amazing. You guys are
Thank
hilarious. I
you.
loved all the segments. It really flowed nicely and it was very interesting. So we will get all into that. But first of all, for
Amazing.
anybody who maybe didn't listen to the first episode, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you became a fan of sports and football in particular.
Yeah, well, growing up, I was born and raised in Waukesha, Wisconsin. So huge Wisconsin sports fan. Packers, Badgers, Bucks, Brewers. Oh my, and I'm still recovering from the Brewers playoff loss this
That's
year.
topic.
That was tough.
And I remember we were talking too and being like, fuck the Dodgers.
Yeah, no, it's fuck the Dodgers always. I lived in California for a very long time, so I
Oh,
did
okay.
go to Dodgers games regularly.
Yeah.
I was totally okay with the Dodgers. We were on great, cool terms. Every time the Brewers came to play the Dodgers, I would go to Dodger Stadium and watch those games. No, that friendship is that relationship is done. It's done. I'll never forgive him. And that's just kind of how I was raised as a sports fan, with my dad, my brother, my whole family being diehard Packers fans and really sports fans in general. I have kind of a big family, me and my cousins constantly in grandma's backyard playing, whether it be climbing trees, playing football, playing soccer, playing baseball. There was always some sort of sports, something going on in our family. I think that's kind of how that got instilled in me. My Packers fandom comes from my dad 1,000%, just like my Brewers fandom. That all comes from my dad. And really just my whole family in general. It's a family tradition now. We're all diehards. And As you if you go back and listen to the first episode, we we get pretty passionate about it.
I love it. And you know what? Honestly, that was really the first thing that I noticed when you stumbled across my For You page. And I was like, this girl knows ball. Like she loves it. Like it's
Love
not even, the whole like, oh, ball, whatever. Like you could tell genuinely like your passion for football just shone through. And it was so obvious that you loved it. Like one, you know what you're talking about, but two, that comes from genuinely loving it. You're not just
yeah.
rattling off stats because you know how to read.
Right.
Like,
It
you love
comes from the years and childhood of growing up, not only in this fandom, but watching other teams too, and learning about the game and talking about it with especially my dad, my brother, other people. It comes from that sort of being instilled as a child. And I played sports, my brother played sports, my whole family, we were all into sports. And so it's just ingrained in my personality at this point.
You know what? It's funny. We did an episode about European football. A girl from London. We were talking all about soccer, and just as she was saying things, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like just learning about different rules that I didn't necessarily know about, or just different
Yeah.
concepts about different leagues and everything. And it was just so cool, and it really did make me think. Like this is why sports are amazing. Like
Yes.
every single sport is a sport for a reason, right? Like there's that entertainment value to it, and I love that. I love that you're locked into as many sports as you can because they are just genuinely fun.
Not only fun, but they teach you discipline and they teach you teamwork and they teach you to be a part of something bigger than you, and I love being a part of a team.
Yes, I love that part too. Like something bigger than you. There's really like no other feeling than going to really any game, but just
Yeah,
being surrounded by 70,000, 60,000 other fans. I mean, if you're at football. But speaking of the sports that you do love, hearing all about this, your history, it seemed like it was just only natural that you then would love to talk about it and love to share your opinions,
right.
which is not an easy thing to do. So honestly, kudos to you. It's hard getting out there and just putting your face online and being like, this is what I have to say, and I'm gonna say it. Because people are a little crazy.
A
But
little crazy.
my question for you though, how did you posting online about your sports takes come to be?
It kind of was just one of those things where I'm always talking to my friends about sports. I know they don't care. Do you think that stops me? Absolutely not. It's if we're out somewhere and one of my teams is playing, my attention is split. That's just the way it is. I'm always
Yeah.
talking to my friends about my favorite teams, fantasy teams, this drama in the NFL that just happened with this player and this player. Did you hear? No, of course they didn't hear because they don't care, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. And I was at a baseball game over the summer with a couple of my friends and family friends. And it just kind of was finally asked to me because me and my dad were talking about sports. We were talking about football. We were talking about Packers training camp. We were talking about all this stuff. My other friend that was with me, we were talking about sports. And finally, the question just came up. It's like, Maddie, why do you not work in sports or do something more related to sports with how much you love it and how much you talk about it and how in deep you are with it? And I
Yeah.
thought, I've never thought about that before. I've never thought about that before, but it's a valid question.
Yeah.
And I thought, how do I break into that? How do I get into that and start actually talking to people who will care and not
Yeah.
just my friends who don't follow? And I decided, you know what? The easiest place to start is online, make an account. Just, I have a lot of opinions about sports. I own that a lot of them are incorrect most of the time, and I have to walk back, but that's part of my personality, impulsive, snap judgments. So that just the name came to me so easy. I made the account and I said, I'm just going to start posting it.
Yeah, I love honestly, the name. There are so many incredible accounts run by women who love sports and so many really unique names. But when I saw Snap Judgments, I was like, "Oh my god, that's genius.
Thank
That's
you.
hilarious." Because again, you too, you have these quick judgments that do come up when you're watching football in particular, but really any sport. But then you
Wow.
just got Snap, the football terminology in there. I was like, "Girl, that is genius." So how did you come up with the name? Just came to you in a dream?
I really just was kind of thinking if I wanna what do I want to do to name this something that is sports related, but
Yeah,
also is an ode to my personality. I mean, I
yeah.
think if you ask anyone in my life that knows me, the first word that comes up is impulsive. and then also never shuts up. So it just seemed only natural that my impulsive, quick opinions, I'm very opinionated, I'm very passionate about things.
Yeah,
It just made sense. And as soon as I was thinking about something to do with terminology of sports, snap judgments just came to me
I love
because
it.
that's what it is. It's like if you have a hot take, if you've got an opinion that's impulsive, that's a snap judgment. And I
I
thought
love
this
it.
could not be more perfect for what I'm going to talk about.
I love it so much. And I like what you said too, that like sometimes you will have these takes, opinions, snap judgments that aren't necessarily correct. They pan out later and you're like, "Okay, that was not right." Like this opinion and opinions whatever, they can be right wrong, but like it didn't stand. It didn't hold, and you're able to walk it back and be like, "Look, okay, this is what I felt in the moment and I said it, and that's okay." And
Yeah.
I think that's really important honestly, especially for women who are afraid to talk about the sports that they love, because I do think women get a lot of like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're wrong. This.
Yeah.
And men obviously do get it too, but I do think women get it to a different extent. And I know for sure that held me back for years talking about the Minnesota Vikings in particular online. I made this Twitter account, and the meme of Will Smith when he's like, it has like pain in the back, the tweet, and in this particular one. Maybe there's a Green Bay one floating out there. I don't know. But he's wearing a
Probably.
Vikings hat and a Vikings jersey. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make that my picture because I was terrified to put my face out there because I was like, the second that people know that I'm a woman, I think it
Mhm.
opens you up to a whole different type of criticism, which
Yeah.
is really unfortunate. But I think that's just really important for other women who might be thinking about talking about sports. It's okay to say something that then a week later doesn't happen. Like,
Well, and
that's totally okay.
it's human. I mean, who can talk shit to you when you say, "Hey, remember that video from last week that I made? LOL, I'm a clown," because that wasn't what are you gonna say? Because I already
Exactly.
took accountability for it. I already said I was wrong, so there's nothing that you could say that's gonna be like a gotcha. Because 'cause I'm
Yeah.
already admitting it.
Exactly. And I think too that it's like, these sportscasters on ESPN, on Fox, everything really is an opinion, especially with the NFL. We have no freaking idea what's going to happen the next week. So
Truly.
people put out their opinions. Every single person does. And you literally have like a 50-50 chance of it panning out or it blowing up in your face. And you have to be like, oh, whoopsies. Like
Yep,
that was not correct. But the people who are getting paid millions of dollars, that happens to them too. So it's
yeah,
like, just say what
100%.
you wanna say. If you love talking
Just
about
say what
sports,
you
just
wanna
talk about
say,
it.
and it's about building the community. I really felt even though there are incredible female sports creators that I follow and that I love so much, and just seeing them do it and seeing that there is a need for more women in that space
Yeah,
to not only talk about sports in an approachable, relatable way for other women who maybe are diehard fans and want to get into it more or aren't really that familiar but want to get more familiar but are intimidated by it. I really feel like having more women sports creators in this space is so important to bridge that gap, and it is going to bring more fans to the NFL and the MLB and the NCAA. Like it's just going to bring more.
yeah. I completely agree, and I mean, you can talk to this more too, but was that kind of your goal with Snap Judgments a little bit, in part of like you just wanted to talk about it? Because exactly like you said, I think it is so cool when you have these large and small creators who are women talking about sports. Because one, for me, I know this is a big reason why I went off of Twitter, because the men on there were just
Mm,
annoying the crap on me. Honestly, that's the reason why I made the Name One Player podcast.
yeah.
That's exactly why I made it, because I was finding it was so difficult to talk about sports online without being asked to name one player on the Minnesota Vikings. Meanwhile, I just tweeted something naming 3 of them, so why are you gonna ask?
Right. Right.
But, having all the women in the space, like, I just feel like there is this community that's been built and is just growing, and it's just so cool to see that. And I always preface this too with saying, like, this is not all men, and I love men to a fault, unfortunately. Um, but it's unfortunate, I hate it, I genuinely do.
No,
Um,
truly, like, if I could choose not men, I
Yeah,
would.
so this is not all men, let me tell you, but, like, there is a lot of men out there who make women in sports lives harder, so I just love that there's this community of women. But was that kind of part of the idea of you creating Snap Judgments to just further contribute to this community of women who love sports?
Yeah, kind of create that safe space and create that community, and not only in a way that's, you know, appealing to maybe someone who doesn't know football. I didn't want it to become like this sports 101 where I'm talking down to anyone or condescending anyone or talking to anyone like they're stupid. But I also didn't want it to be this like the same kind of bro-y type ESPN coverage you see over and over and over again. We all love those shows. I watch them. I watch NFL Red Zone and Game Day Live and all those things. I love those. But it kind of gets tiring to see the same voice and the same personality and the same opinions in that space over and over again without getting to hear from some of the women. And not just in a way that's, oh, we're here, we're talking about our favorite players. No, actually talking about the game itself and
Yeah,
making it more approachable.
totally. You know what? I think this is a perfect segue then, because you say the word approachable, to talking about Hottie Huddle. And you are one half of Hottie Huddle with Jenna. And Jenna, if you were listening, we just said before we hit record after our super fun Packers episode that we're going to have to do a Bengals episode. I'm definitely going to have to get Jenna on here.
And I will absolutely be thrilled to.
You guys just had your first podcast episode out, and I know Hottie Huddle is more than a podcast, and I want to hear more about what Hottie Huddle really is. But when you said approachable and making sports approachable, I really do think that's exactly what you and Jenna are doing.
Yay.
I loved the episode. I thought it was so fun. I learned things about teams that I just didn't even realize were going on. But then also there was just this fun aspect. I also learned about Hair by Chrissy. I am gonna need to look into that. What's going on with it? I like know Hair by Chrissy, but like what's going on with it? And
All
you
the
were like,
TikTok drama and everything that was
no,
coming out with
what
that.
happened? I
I
mean,
love, I love.
we can get into that another time, but like just the fact that it really was done in such an approachable way, but I was able to hear what's going on in the league, but then also, yeah, hear what's going on like pop culture stuff. And I just think it was just such a fun listen. So everybody listening, definitely go listen to
Oh,
Hottie Huddle.
so good to
But
hear.
I want to hear more about how Hottie Huddle came to be.
Yeah, well, Jenna being another sports creator, so Hottie Huddle was kind of her page at first where she would post a few things here and there. And I think we started following each other pretty early into my Snap Judgments page being a thing. And we sent a couple videos back and forth. We messaged each other. I think I reached out to her because I wanted to put together a group chat of a bunch of female sports creators, which I still want to do. And then she was kind of wanting to do some sort of podcast episode or a co-host or something similar to that. And we just kind of started talking back and forth, realized how well our personalities mesh together. We are like the same person in different bodies. It's kind of funny.
I love
And the
it.
more that we talked about it and the more that we kind of discussed, working with each other. We got on a FaceTime call and it really was just talking about when you started this page, where did you want it to go? Like, what did you have in mind? What's the end goal here? What's your baseline for what you want to come out of this? What are you trying to build?
Yeah.
Has had this whole everything for Hottie Huddle planned in her head. This is kind of like her baby that she already had sort of a clear vision of what she wanted for it, but she didn't want to do it alone. And she wanted to find someone else to go in this with her and help build it into something, a full brand where we can truly build community and do it as a duo and make it something that is more approachable, more relatable, and not just pigeonhole ourselves into one thing. And so everything that we talked about on that call, we probably talked for 3 hours that night, and I was just like, I'm sold. I'm sold because I love that idea. I wanted to eventually do a podcast, but I didn't wanna do it by myself, and building a brand around community where it's not just sports. We do talk about pop culture. We do talk about beauty. We do talk about lifestyle. We do talk about other things. We wanted to appeal to not just the sports girlies who are diehard fans or casual fans or they have a home team. We wanna cater to the sports girlies, but we also wanted to cater to the people who wanna be a part of the community. Even if they don't know sports, they want to have some sort of, "I'm in this. I feel like this is my community. I feel like these are my people." Even though I don't know quite what you're talking about with some of this sports stuff, but I'm here for the pop culture stuff. And then vice versa. The girls who listen for the sports can be like, I had no idea this was happening with Hair by Chrissy. I got to go look this up because I want to be part of the conversation.
I love it so much, and that really did come across because, I mean, I'm chronically online, unfortunately, I really am, and it was just so nice to know that I understood really everything except the Hair by Chrissy thing, so I will have to go back and figure out what the hell was going on, but it really was just nice to exactly how you framed it, have it be a space for both of those things. Of course, it was sports heavy and it was pop culture heavy, but it didn't feel like it was, like, split, you know? Like, it didn't feel
Yeah.
like, "Okay, we're gonna talk about sports here, we're gonna talk about pop culture here." It was so, like, ingrained
Blended
and
it all together.
yes, and I
Yeah.
loved it, and it just again, too, like, it was so natural because also, too, I think that's probably what you and Jenna both love, like, you love sports, you love pop
Yeah.
culture, so talking about how I mentioned before, like, when I first came across Snap Judgements, it was so obvious that you just love sports, but hearing the first episode of Hottie Huddle, it just was so obvious that, like, these are your guys' passions, and you're just
Yeah.
talking about the
And
stuff
just
that
our
you love.
personalities and our different voices and the way that and we love to make fun of ourselves. We love to act silly and be silly and we love to yap. And I think those things definitely come through. But that's just what makes it so fun because we're not ashamed. Even when we did our predictions, we said, LOL, half of these are probably going to be wrong. We posted our predictions and then Thursday night football happened and we were like, ooh, walk that back. We messed up because what are you going to say to us? What are you going to say that we haven't already said ourselves?
Yeah, and I also think too how many people in the whole entire world had their predictions for the Bills to win that game.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
well, and you know what? I was gonna lead this into, the segments because I really did love all the different segments and actually, because by the time this episode is out, the second episode of Hottie Huddle will be out as well. But at the end, you guys kind of had this like the hot list. And Josh Allen, I'm not gonna spoil it too much because I want everybody to go back and listen to the first episode. But spoiler, Josh Allen was number one on the hot list, and I agree. And then
After
this
his
happened.
historic game.
And then what? Because this episode was out on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
And then a mere few hours later,
A mere
Josh
few hours,
Allen,
1 hour even later, and we walked back our support very quickly. I feel like we cursed Josh Allen. I
my
feel like
man.
whoever we crown Hottie of the Week going forward, we need to be very careful that we do not curse them and jinx them now.
Okay. You know what, though? Maybe it might be good to examine the idea of, like, a reverse curse and then have JJ McCarthy be Hottie of the Week.
Being someone really, really bad so that then it'll make them really good. Yes, I think we need to do some experimentation on this first. I think we need to experiment with this, see what the evidence tells us. Maybe we need to make like Caleb Williams or someone number 1 so that the Bears have an awful week.
Maybe.
Mm.
Yes, that makes more sense actually than my weird backwards, like, I'm thinking of that meme, all the lines and stuff. Yeah. Then let's start with that one then. Are you gonna be the one who says it out loud?
I don't know. That would pain me in my
I
heart to
know.
do that.
I know, it really would.
Oh, that's gonna Jenna's gonna have to weigh in on that one.
I love it. But, my question for you, could you speak to more of these segments? Because honestly, I think that was my favorite part of the podcast or my favorite aspect is
Yay.
just how many segments there were, but it didn't feel broken up. It didn't feel choppy. It didn't feel like, okay, we're talking about this. Now let's move into this. Like it flowed very organically and I really loved it. However, I do understand with the podcast, you kind of just throw stuff out there and figure out what works. So I'm curious, are these segments here to stick around? Are you guys still figuring out about it? How did you come up with some of the segments? I'd love to
Yeah.
hear more about that.
Well, if anything, we're only gonna add more segments, but these
Love
segments
it.
are sticking around, and I really appreciate that because we were so nervous going into this first episode of just, like, how this was gonna go, if we're gonna talk too much, are we gonna fumble over our words, are these segments just gonna kind of flop? So, the segments are sticking around. Hot or Not, A Hot List, Snap Judgments, an ode to my page is now a podcast segment because we got a lot of snap judgments around here, and then we have our extra point of view AKA one more thing that we end with. And then we'll do our predictions every week as well. But we definitely plan to incorporate more segments in the future. We want to have guests on in the future. Any fun new drops or exciting things that we have coming, we'll announce on the podcast as well. We want to have a hotline where people can leave us messages, call in, or leave us some sort of DM, voicemail, voice note, whatever it may be to feature as well and to talk about things. So the segments are here to stay. And Jenna very, very carefully crafted out the segments and the names of all of them to be cohesive amongst all of our platforms, which I love the attention to detail that Jenna has done with everything regarding the brand, our logos, our podcast, everything. She really has put in some amazing work into making it what it is. But we knew that we wanted to have those segments going into it. We just knew that we didn't want to have it scripted. So have your hot or not list, have your things for hot, have your things for not. Just write down those topics. Do not plan ahead what you're going to say, and then let's just let it flow. And it honestly worked out for the best.
Yeah, that's such a huge point. I don't think I had was, like, using that terminology in my head, but, like, just kinda how I was saying it, it just flowed so seamlessly, but I think that's what it is, and hearing that you guys didn't necessarily script it, obviously, you had your points in mind, but,
Yeah.
like, it did not sound robotic, and I think sometimes when you listen to podcasts, it can sound like that. If you have these segments, it can sound scripted, essentially, and it really didn't at all.
I love it when we don't know in advance what we're going to talk about because then everything that we are getting is truly an impulsive snap judgment out. Just you can't control what comes out. It's just it happens.
I 100% agree. Well, okay, I know you guys are recording the episode tomorrow,
Mhm.
and it's gonna be out by Thursday, so maybe we have some listeners who already are listening to Hottie Huddle, but if we have some new listeners and they're hearing this and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this sounds so fun, I absolutely need to go listen to Hottie Huddle," because I do genuinely think anybody who's listening to this podcast will love Hottie Huddle, but can you give me and the listeners a little spoiler
And what we have
on what
coming up
to
this week.
expect on Thursday? Yes.
Well, number one, we will be clowning on ourselves for our predictions.
Okay, okay. Well, one of your predictions is right, so
Yeah, one of them was right. Not very many of them were correct. We did flop on some of those, but we will be clowning ourselves for some of our predictions and for cursing Josh Allen. We've got a little bit of a Wicked Part 2 review from me because I
okay,
did go see Wicked and it was phenomenal.
okay,
We've
okay.
got a little bit of pop culture celeb breakup drama, which I know everyone loves tea and gossip and drama. And we've got some NFL moments from this weekend that truly were mind blowing, as well as some funny quotes from the weekend as well.
I love that. I love that. Okay, I'm super excited to hear. I hope you don't go too hard, like in praise for the Packers, because I
I'll
don't know if
tone
I
it
can hear
down.
it.
I'll tone it down.
No, please don't. Please don't. Be loud and be proud. You
You
got
love
to do it.
playing on the drum song. Yeah, exactly.
Well, again, everybody listening, definitely go check out Hottie Huddle. Where can they find you on social media and where is the podcast?
It is going to be at Hottie Huddle on everything TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever it's called now,
I know. I
YouTube.
never
I will
call it
never
X.
call it X.
I can't.
YouTube, it's at Hottie Huddle on all of those platforms. Our podcast is Hottie Huddle Mic'd Up. You can find that everywhere that you listen to your podcasts. Spotify is my favorite platform, but you can find that anywhere.
Well, I also love too, on Spotify, you can comment on the episodes, which I always tell everybody. It's my favorite part is reading the comments on
I didn't
episodes. So
know that until we posted the first one. I didn't know you could comment.
yes, everybody listening to this, go comment on this right now if you're listening on Spotify, and then go listen to Hottie Huddle and then comment your
Comment on
thoughts.
all the episodes.
Yes, just spam us with comments. I love it. Okay, amazing. Well, Maddie, I'm so excited to hear this next episode, and I'm just excited for you and Jenna to see
Thank
what
you.
is to come next for you guys and Hottie Huddle because I do think it's an amazing idea, an amazing concept, and like you said, just the amount of thought that's gone into it. You can really tell that you guys really care about this and want it to be successful, and
Thank
I'm
you.
very confident that it will be.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. We're so excited about it. We can't wait to have you on a future episode.
Ooh, that would be fun. I mean, I'm all for it. You mentioned this group chat too of women. I would love for you
Yes,
guys to get that going.
for the women only.
I know. I do honestly, sometimes I do think About one day when I do want Name One Player to be a full media company, I have employees that I'm hiring and paying, but I'm like, it's illegal to not hire men. It's illegal to discriminate. I can't.
Discrimination, yes. Listen, I think they'll get provision.
We'll figure it out when that time comes. All right, Maddie, my last question for you. And I ask this of every single person who comes on the Name One Player podcast. Obviously, the name of the show called Name One Player, and I referenced it at the beginning of the episode. That came to be because I was scrolling through Twitter one time and I was just pissed off. And I remember tweeting, I'm like, I'm going to make a podcast where I only invite women on and we just talk about how annoying men are and how they always ask us to name one player. And that's how the podcast came to be, and I love it. But I also thought too, let's turn it into a positive. Let's
Yeah.
take those moments where we were asked to name one player, or we were asked to prove our fandom, or we were treated differently than a man would have been treated in the
Mhm,
exact same situation just because of
mhm.
our gender and the fact that we love sports. So I love taking those stories and letting women, talk about it, letting us laugh at these situations instead of being annoyed at it. So Maddie, my question for you is, do you have any favorite name one player stories that you would like to share?
Well, I definitely, aside from just comments from men on my TikTok and knowing that I was gonna get some comments from men doing snap judgments and creating a space where I was a woman talking about sports, I knew I was gonna get some of those comments. They make me laugh. I love firing back at them. The trolls fuel me. Keep it coming. You know what I mean?
Well, this is what I said to all the Packer fans in my comments. Baby, the engagement, I love it. You're pushing this out to more
There's
people.
no
Let's
such thing as bad press, okay? No such thing as bad press. So, yeah, aside from all the men in my comments telling me to stick to dishes and laundry or to let my
oh,
man handle the fantasy lineup and all these other things, get some original content first of all, because like I've
yeah.
heard you're still reusing the same shtick. But specifically, one of my favorite memories was in high school in 2011 when the Packers won the Super Bowl against the Steelers, which hope we can get that game again one day because that would be really fun. The next day at school, I wore my Packers sweatshirt. As one does, of course, being a diehard Packers fan after we just won the Super Bowl, I was going to be insufferable. You already know.
Of course.
And I remember all of the jocks and dudes at school in my friend group and hanging out in the area of school that we hang out being like, "Oh, you're a bandwagon fan. Oh, did you get that yesterday right before the game? Blah, 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 all that stuff." I'm like, "No, you guys all know I'm from Wisconsin, so you know that I am a Packer fan." They're like, "Oh, sure, sure, sure. Okay, well, then let me ask you this. Oh, well, then let's see if you can answer this." And I'm like, "Okay, amazing. I love this. Bring it on." One of the guys asked me, "So what did you think of that big play? What did you think of that big play in the game yesterday?" I'm like, "You're gonna need to be more specific. Are you referencing one of Greg Jennings' touchdowns? Are you referencing the Jordy Nelson touchdown? Are you referencing when Charles Woodson had to leave the game with a broken collarbone? Like, do you want me to give you Aaron's passing yards? Like, what are we looking for here?" And he just kind of went, never mind."
That is
Exactly.
hilarious. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. And I'm thinking too, like, was he saying that in a way of like, I'm gonna catch you because you don't know the big play is? Or does he
Right.
not know what the big play
Or am I
is?
or am I just saying this because I that's the thing. Was there a one big play, or are you just saying that to try and prove that I didn't watch the game?
Also, it's the Super Bowl. Like, when is there ever one singular big play in the
Exactly.
Super Bowl?
Exactly. And I specifically remember this memory, and I don't know who it was with, but I had a classmate and I was at her house and we were doing a project for school at her house watching the game, watching the Super Bowl on her TV, and I was actually, like, so yelling at the TV in her home upstairs, and I don't remember who it was from high school, so I need to find out, but I'm just like, "You can go and find her and ask her because we had it on. She's here somewhere." Like,
Oh my gosh, that is a great story. I mean, like you referenced to the comments, all of that kind of stuff online, like that, unfortunately, we can just expect it,
Yeah.
but it does hit different when you're, like, in person with people that you go to school with, you see often, and then they come up and they just berate you, and then you're you're, like, put on the spot, but, good on you, 2011 you, and here you are today,
And
still
here I
talking
am
about
today.
football. The funniest part that, like, he then wouldn't engage in a back and forth with you,
No.
and that's what I always say. I find the real sports fans will then engage in these conversations and just be so excited, and maybe they do genuinely think that, like, women don't know about sports because that's just how they were raised, that's how society kind of teaches young boys to think, but then it's so nice when sometimes we do have those conversations and then it kind of shifts something in them and then they're like, "Oh shit, I'm an asshole. Whoopsies, my bad."
But even that back and forth, it's so fun when you can really, like, go toe to toe with someone and do that back like, sports banter is the way to my heart. It really
I love
is.
it.
Yeah. Talk shit to me. It's the way to my heart because 'cause Imma give it right back to you.
But then you have this guy who, again, part of me is like, did he even know the big play?
Just
Like,
trying to get you in, like, a gotcha moment.
you almost, again, reverse Uno gotcha because he couldn't even stand toe to toe with you and have a conversation.
"Oh, never mind. You won't get it anyway. Oh, you won't get it. Oh, really? I won't get it after everything I just said to you? Sure, sure, sure. Sure, sure, sure. Okay.
Maybe he listens to Hottie Huddle.
Listen, I hope so. Hit my DMs. Hit my DMs. You know who you are. We'll have a discourse."
All right, Maddie, thank you so much for coming on again. I am so excited to
Thank
hear
you.
Hottie Huddle. Everybody definitely go back and listen to the episode that Maddie and I did about the Packers, and definitely go listen to Jenna and Maddie on Hottie Huddle.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, Maddie, have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Thank you so much to Maddie for coming back on the Name One Player podcast and chatting all about Hottie Huddle. If you are listening, definitely 100% go check out Hottie Huddle and listen to Maddie and Jenna with their first and I guess now second episode. So definitely go check out that. I will be listening to their second episode. I am super excited, like I said so many times in the episode, and I meant it every single time. I loved episode 1, and I'm very confident I'm going to love episode 2. And I'm super excited for all the rest of the episodes and to see what comes of Hottie Huddle because I love it. I think they're the best. And thank you again to Maddie for coming on. If you liked today's episode of the Name One Player podcast, I would love it if you showed your support, liked the podcast, rated it 5 stars. I think is probably best for this conversation. I think so. I'd rate it 5 stars if I were you, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. And make sure you are following the Name on Player podcast on whatever podcast platform you prefer, as well as Instagram and TikTok. That's really where I'm most active, I would say. I do still have Twitter, but we've been lacking. We've been lacking on the Twitter front, I'm not going to lie. All right, everybody, that is enough from me. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and a lovely rest of your week. All right, everyone, take care. Bye.